Thanks, Neha. Like Bruno mentioned, these jail mulakats are actually the only brief portals. It feels like a time portal, really, because we literally move from our very fast lives of deadlines, of commitments, of responsibilities, which are day to day, and then we move into, after a long walk, into a portal where time is slow, where suffering is slow, where thoughts are slow, and it really feels like talking across two different time zones. I'll also read a few paras from the introduction of the book, but before that, like Neha mentioned, I'll just refer to a conversation in one of these jail mulakats that I had with him some time back. One of those usual jail mulakats where I met him across the greased glass window with the 90s style hand receiver in our grip on both ends. He said something that stuck to me. He said, "Ban, you all are too connected. You are bombarded with information, something that I don't have here. And I worry. I worry that you may be consuming too much, responding to things, reacting to things on almost a day-to-day basis, but are you absorbing? Are you reflecting?" It stayed with me. He wants us to look for synergies, for possibilities, for solidarities that are yet to be realized. Possibly we feel that the book can serve that purpose. Because for Umar, Khalid Safi, Sharjeel Imam, and for the many others who still remain behind the bars, it is crucial that we keep these conversations going. Because ultimately it is these conversations that actually give meaning to the time that they are doing behind the bars. Because they find meaning in when we carry on, when we speak, when we express our dissent, they feel that they live with us, they live among us, they live through our actions. Beyond that, as a student of history, I just hope that the book serves as an archive of a rather grim time, but also of one when bigotry was being responded to with defiance, with compassion, and with solidarity. We refer to glimpses, a few glimpses of those in the introduction, and that's what I'll try and read out a few paras from it. The protesting farmers who held posters and placards with the portraits and names of Umar Khalid and the others, the anti-CAA and the BK-16 prisoners, saw nothing extraordinary in linking their struggle directly to the fate of political prisoners or to the women of Shaheen Bagh. To them, the farmers' struggle for dignity and justice was indivisible from the many other struggles for dignity, freedom, and justice amongst minorities, Dalits, women, workers, forest dwellers, displaced communities, students, young people, ex-soldiers, and others that were emerging in response to the regime's depredations. The farmers knew that someone like Umar Khalid, like them, understood this web of connections and knew, again like them, that no one struggle could be pursued in isolation. It is this understanding that Umar Khalid had come to acquire organically by being a Muslim on the Indian left who was neither willing to mute his identity nor willing to abandon his radical political vision that made someone like him particularly dangerous for the regime. Because the politics that Umar came to understand and represent as a bridge that could bring the young Muslim women and men to a place where the act of their speaking, listening, and walking together and separately, while always acting together whenever necessary, with the aim of realizing more free, more democratic, more open spaces in society, in companionship and fellowship with young Dalit or Adivasi or working class or peasant or LGBT persons or those from oppressed populations in Kashmir or Nagaland and Manipur, was an emerging threat that the regime, with its narrowing vision of India, could not afford to ignore. If 21st century fascism with Indian characteristics had to win this contest, it had to make sure that farmers did not talk about or to Umar Khalid and that Umar Khalid behind the prison walls was not listening to the farmers. This was a battle, as we have already indicated, between two visions of citizenship. One frozen around the fulcrum of a date and identities, and another that treated citizenship as an open-ended question, realized in practice by the act of walking and working together in an inclusive fashion. The first has by now acquired the morphology of a hydra embodied in the Citizenship Amendment Act, the exercise of the NRC, and also in the NRC by stealth, operationalized by the Election Commission as the SIR. The second, the slow organic formation of links between different interest groups, causes, and communities is always going to be a work in progress. For Umar, this meant never losing sight of the importance of comrades and allies who were not Muslim. At the same time, it also meant never accepting the need to underplay a Muslim or Islamic sense of self in the course of forging a political language that could articulate a spectrum of desires and aspirations. It is important to take a pause here and acknowledge the cauldron in which such camaraderies were forged: universities. It is these spaces that provided the opportunities to engage with 100 thoughts and 1,000 contentions. One such space, of course, was Umar's alma mater, the much vilified Jawaharlal Nehru University. Coming from the Muslim ghetto next to Jamia Millia Islamia, growing up amid rampant vilification of Muslim youth and Islamophobia, it is in university spaces, in Delhi University, leading up to his graduation, and in JNU during his higher studies, that he could locate the persecution of the minorities within a larger context of oppression against the margins of the nation. The nocturnal public meetings, the days at the barricades, the nights at the hunger strikes, the polemical pamphlets, the blend of debate within the classrooms and the dhabas all came together to provide the perfect habitat for the youth like Umar to understand and interrogate the contours of a Brahminical state in collusion with neoliberal pro-corporate policies. It is here that the youth learned to debate, differ, dissent, disagree, and in the process reach higher planes of understanding. It is this cross-fertilization of ideas in the minds of the students and youth that had over the years given many like Umar and many of us the tools to connect the dots, to build solidarities across multiple layers of oppression, and to make allies along the path of a transformative politics. Listening, talking, reading, arguing. These are precisely the kind of activities that makes the regime nervous and paranoid. And that is precisely what the book serves to encourage amongst all of you. Thanks.